This recipe is super simple, so much so that we're actually going to make a double batch of it. So laid out, I have about 5 cups of flour, 4 eggs, 2 cups of butter, cup and a half of sugar, cup and a half of brown sugar, a mix of 4 teaspoons of salt and baking soda, and a pound of chocolate chips. And you're going to want to preheat your oven at 350, and we're going to bake each batch for 12 minutes. So you're going to actually start off with your wet ingredients. I just have one of those KitchenAid mixers. You can use a hand mixer, you can use a whisk. I just have one of those because I really love it, and I got it for Christmas last year, and it just makes baking really easy. So I just pour the sugar and the brown sugar in first. I always like to keep the two together, they're easier to mix. And then afterwards, I would add butter. So fun fact, if you get the Land O'Lakes red spreadable butter, those are actually equivalent to 1 cup of butter each, so you don't have to worry about using any extra measuring cups. And I let them sit out for a little bit just to soften them, not super melty, but just a little bit, and then I just scoop them out with a spoon, and yeah, I just kind of put them in there like that, and then I discard them, the containers, after I'm done. So for the mixing speed, I usually pick between 2 and 4. Right now I have it going on 4, and this is just kind of, I wanted to show you how it starts to look once you mix the butter and the sugar together. It'll start to get this kind of tan color, and then usually it takes a little bit, so I end up just watching shows or video game live streams on my iPad and just wait for it to mix. So before you add your dry ingredients, it's best to, I feel like, add the eggs next, because I feel like it helps mix everything together and start to get a more of a consistent base. Also, off camera, I totally forgot, you are going to need vanilla, so you just put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla just because we're doubling the recipe. So this is just what it starts to look like with the eggs mixed in. You notice it obviously is very yellow, but it really starts to make it more sticky and goopy, which I feel like helps keep the flour together. I am baking this very late at night. It is 1:43 in the morning when I'm making all of these. And yeah, just wanted to show you how that looks with the eggs in it. So in one singular bowl, I actually have the baking soda and I have the salt mixed together, just so you know, so I don't have any extra dishes. And before I put in my flour, I put that in first because I feel like it helps mix it up better. So after I let that mix for a bit and kind of get it thoroughly mixed up, I start to add in my flour. So I would add it in bowl by bowl, and so I usually use about 5 cups of flour because I feel like it makes your cookies really, really fluffy. But actually, really what I do is I add about probably another half cup to 3/4 a cup, just because I really like a certain consistency. And if you let your butter sit out for too long, your cookies can start to get too oily and then they won't cook as well. This way, to keep their fluffiness and to keep them super nice, just add as much flour until you get a much less oily, more soft consistency. So you'll notice that I've actually been adding in each thing of flour separately. If you add in all 5 cups of flour at the same time, it will not mix as thoroughly, and you're going to have to mix more and more once you're done. So really, you should just add it in sections. I usually just do 2.5 and 2.5, and then I add extra later on. So the adding extra flour thing is totally up to you. I personally prefer it just because, like I said, I feel like it gives them a much better consistency and they don't get all melty and weird when you stick them into the oven. So I just took some of the flour that we had out there. I didn't really feel like measuring it, just kind of eyeballed it. And it's kind of just up to you with most recipes. It's kind of just make sure that they fit your needs and kind of like what you want, and just use recipes as a general guideline. So after making sure that everything is fully mixed, take your mixer off of its little stand thing, and I just start to scrape off the rest of it with a spatula, just so I can get the rest of the dough that's on there and make sure not to waste any. It's also a lot easier to clean if you get the majority of the dough off of it, because then it doesn't dry up on there. So this is actually just a clip of what I think like the perfect consistency of your dough should be. It should be kind of bouncy, kind of squishy, and I feel like that's a really good coloring for it. So like I said, so just add flour to your liking. I feel like cookies just come out the best when they look like that. Once it's all done mixing, I actually add the chocolate chips by hand, just because I feel like stand mixers never quite get the chocolate chips evenly distributed. So I'll just pour the entire bag in there and just mix it up with a spatula, just because like I said, I can get it a lot more even that way. And then here is another clip of all the chocolate chips thoroughly mixed in. Next, I take a cookie scooper. This is totally optional. Obviously, it's just a lot easier because then you don't have to actually like touch the dough and like form it yourself. I actually will end up using 2 cookie scoopers. This is a bigger one and I have a smaller one. So what I do first actually is I just scoop it out, flatten it, and then I plop each one on there, and then I take the smaller scooper and I plop another ball on top, and I feel like that really helps kind of keep their shape and their fluffiness and makes them kind of just look their best. This is what they look like once I'm done plopping them on top of each other, and this is how I stick them in the oven. And I feel like I said, they just come out the best this way, and there's the smaller one of me putting one on there. But yeah, I feel like they just taste the best, they look the best this way, and usually come out the prettiest. This recipe is really, really good for kind of like quick last-minute desserts to bring, because I'm really bad about that, about staying up super late or forgetting to bring something. And yeah, you can kind of see how the cookies are turning out, but this actually I recorded at like 1:43 in the morning for Thanksgiving the next day, and I was like, oh no. So you can probably see that by using cookie scoops, the dough on top sinks into the bottom one and gives them a much more fluffy shape. And what you are going to want to do, you're going to want to make sure that after about 30 to 45 seconds that you take them off and put them on a cooling rack, because the bottoms can get crunchy very, very fast. I like cookies to be a little more squishy and a little bit softer, so I take them off fairly quickly. How I take them off, I have this really, really big cookie spatula that my sister got for me for Christmas, and it's just easy because I can get 2 off at a time and it goes a lot faster. These are how our cookies looked the next day of Thanksgiving with all of our other desserts. I just took a photo of them, but yeah, this is about half of them. I put the rest in the pantry just, so they don't all get eaten. But yeah, it makes about 45 to 55 cookies. It's a super easy recipe, and if you'd like to see more recipe videos from me, let me know and I can always film some more. Thanks for watching. Bye.